Hello, hello. How's it going, everyone? And sorry about yesterday. Yesterday was a complete disaster timing-wise for me. I just didn't have any time really to do much of anything after a certain point. So I'm sorry for botching on the time. Anyway, so this is going to be officially day 32 of the 100 Days of Making Comics Challenge. And you can learn more about that on the Facebook page for 100 Days of Making Comics. Also, the hashtag, I think the hundreds is what they use for that. So what we're going to do today is some lettering. I kind of wanted to show you guys how things are set up here for Webtoons. So a Webtoons comic gets uploaded in little JPEG sections, 800 by 1200 in size. So I draw at 2400 by whatever it ends up being, usually like 52. Yeah, it's like usually 2400 by 52 something. Anyway, so that gets shrunk down after all the art is done to 800 by 5120. Okay, so the original size is like 1530, 360, so it's huge. So that gets down to 800 by what it is. The pixel width is the main thing. We can go however long we want. I try to keep them all in 1200 pixel chunks, and that makes things easier to work out. So I got two programs up right now. You're seeing Photoshop, and so that I can explore this. So I've got two different parts to this. I have my comic format, and then I have where I'm getting my slices from. So I have over here, I've got my marquee tool set to a fixed 800 by 1200 so that I'll always be able to select, copy, and paste the appropriate size image. So we'll go through that a little bit here, and it'll be cool. So here we are. I'm going to switch over to... Gotta remember to look at the camera. It's one of the hardest things. I'm going to switch over to and boom. Okay, so here we are. That worked out pretty well in Adobe Illustrator. Now this has some leftovers from the last thing, and you know, it's good to reuse elements once you create a balloon, for example, or a typical style, or you know, something you can use over and over again. It's good to keep those elements. So again, I've got three layers that I work with mainly. The bottom layer is the art layer. The middle layer is for the balloons. Top layer is for the text. And this way things are divided up so it's easy to select. And if you need to move things around, they're not all on one layer. You're not accidentally grabbing the art layer or anything of that nature. So as far as storytelling goes, if we were to look at the last episode that's up online, because this is what we are coming in right after. So I'll go ahead and bring that up. So here we are in the first episode. This nice space intro. Cool Tanalorn. And we come in, we go through the episode. Gets a bit of an introduction, and off to the races we go. So in the slave transport, second episode, we're learning a little bit about them. Jota and Chet. And Dinosaur Man falls down and gets smashed egregiously. That word needs to come back, egregiously. No. And we got our little tag on there at the end. So now we got to decide how we're starting this out. Now the way that I do comics is I have general story and idea, and I don't start thinking about dialogue until it's time to start putting the dialogue in. I don't have any of that stuff pre-written. It's basically just a giant overview of what I know is going to happen, and then I kind of go into it this way, which I know is not the most ideal scenario, but you know, it is what it is. So one of the simple things I can do is Spaz has a very limited dialogue, so we can go in and start using some of his balloons right away. And I'm going to zoom in here so it's easier to see. Some little thing there. Nah, that's not going to work. You always want to make sure that your balloon tails point to the mouth. One of the biggest problems with amateur comics is that they'll point it at the shoulder or something like that, or just point it straight at the head, and that's a no-no. You want to always point to the direction of the mouth with your balloon tails. Now, if you're doing a thought balloon, then that doesn't make sense, and you can have it point to the head. And if you do tails for any sort of sound effects or anything like that, then you definitely want to do the tails aiming at the source of the audio, whatever the vocalization is that's going on. So I think with him, I'm going to try to combine a couple of different things just to be kind of creative with it. We got his exasperation up here. Well, maybe I can just do no. It's okay to have that kind of popping out of the balloon. Now, even though you've got stuff on multiple layers, you can still grab it as one and move it around. So I'm just going to kind of make this balloon comfortable like that. Panels like this, you don't need any dialogue. It's conveyed enough. There's the sweat coming off of the brow. And then we've got him jetting off into rescue mode. So we can grab and depending on the sentiment, like I kind of like having this burst out here, whereas it's not necessary up here. You know, it's more of a, this is more of an exclamatory thing. It's a good question, Varian. So for those not seeing the chat, Varian asked, when do you determine to place a sound effect and when do you let the reader figure it out? And basically it's, I look at it two different ways. If the sound effects isn't going to add to the scene, if it's just going to clutter it up, then I try not to put any sort of sound effect in there. But if it's going to in some way enhance it, then I would definitely do a sound effect. Like, for example, I kind of want to put one in here, but I want to do it in such a way that it's not cluttering up the scene, because the scene is already pretty dynamic as it is. So I think this would be a good example for a foosh sound effect. And we have some areas here. I think this would probably be the best area for it, right about here. And you just want to try to make sure that it just doesn't, you know, doesn't clutter up things. So we can try to lay something in. Another thing I want to tell you guys is that fonts, if you collect, like, I have thousands and thousands of fonts, those can actually slow down your system if they're all installed on the same hard disk. So I use a font managing program now, and it's called Become Awesome, I think. It's a free version, works pretty well. You just drag all your font folders into it, and then when you launch the program, those fonts become available in your software. And then you can close it down and then just go back to whatever your normal system fonts are. So as I've been adding more and more to it, I just use this to manage it and just make sure this is turned on. And then I've got access to all of them in here. So let's do like a foosh. F-W-O-O-S-H. Exclamation mark. Foosh. Now, if you want to learn how to do this, hands down, the best way to do it is the Comic Craft book, and you can order it on a PDF. And I don't get any sort of thing for this. But these guys right here, Comic Craft, they do all the fonts for the professional business. Make fonts out of famous letterers' hands and stuff. And if you go into their store, what is that crap? They need to fix these links. Here it is. Comic book lettering, Comic Craft way. They do have it. You can still get the paperback, which is great. It's a little outdated because it deals with an old version of Photoshop, but it's still, all the information works just spectacularly. It's all good stuff here. I would look on their website and get the PDF. You know, it's the same price, but at least you'll always have it digitally. But that's where I learned how to do all of this cool stuff with lettering, and I'm not saying that I'm any good at it either. All right, so we got that set. I'm going to go up to my listing of fonts, and we'll start with easier and just look for something that looks kind of cool. That one might work. That one certainly is pretty cool. But if I'm going to do like a movement down the sides. I might need something more like this Astro City one. Crayon Screaming, nah, that one's pretty good, kind of crazy. Foosh, we'll use that one. Alright, so never use anything right out of the box. So we'll create outlines, and we will ungroup it, and then we'll start to manipulate and move our letters around. Okay, let's see. All right, so as we get those letters put in, I'm just kind of emphasizing different sizes so that we get this traveling line going down. Trying to get, whoosh. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. All right, so now that I've got those kind of how I like them, I'm going to go ahead and group them again so it's easier to move it around. And now we're going to start looking at how to stylize and kind of make this look a little more presentable, because right now it's all just big black fonts. So I'll copy paste and get a new version of that. And I think we'll start with white. Line those up. It's not bad. Maybe for our undercolor, we want to try something else, like an orange. Help set it apart. That's looking pretty good. Yep. So now we got our sound effect in there. Some old balloons here. Text. So this guy's coughing and hacking up a lung down here. So what would be good for that kind of cough, cough? Something more organic looking. It's a weird looking word. Yeah, it kind of works. You could always try to spell it phonetically, like COFF. Alright, so we got that one, and then I'm going to throw in an ACK. Alright, so again, never use anything right out of the box. It's good to kind of jumble. If you jumble up the letters, like lettering styles, fonts, the way that a font looks will help communicate what's going on. Like this is all kind of organic, wet, and gross. So by just moving the letters around, we kind of replicate that as well. So I'll go ahead and break this one up. Well, the lettering career has already been pretty much phased out, because now all the people that did all the famous lettering basically been turned into fonts. So now it's just a question of whether, the letterists basically are just Illustrator users now, and need a good sense of graphic design skills to make something look good. So that's definitely something that's changed, and so I think that kind of answers that for the most part. I'm going to do a nice bright yellow for this. Doesn't need to be very big. Next on the chopping block would probably be the inker, because I mean, honestly, digital inks are so much better than traditional, at least in my opinion, because with my disability, I'm super shaky, so I'm able to adjust for that with digital methods. I mean, there's a beautiful art form to it. There's guys like my buddy Mustafa, man. I don't think there's anybody better than him actually out there at inking. But I know for myself, I'd rather do all the jobs. For doing Dinosaur Man, I don't have any money to hire this out to anybody else, so I definitely have to do all the jobs myself. So if you're starting out, I mean, you got to be a jack of all trades, master of none for the most part. So we're going to have some dialogue here. This guy's coming to, and he's talking to his buddy. Whoops. So we're going to use some of these dialogue people here, dialogue pieces. And this way I don't even have to reset the font. I can just be like, oh yeah, this is what's being said. Did I spell this guy's name? I don't even remember. I think so. So he's yelling for his buddy. Alright, so then we'll switch to the balloon layer and then just do some simple ellipses. This is one of the things I hate about Illustrator is if you don't deselect what you're working on first, you can't just go to something else. Alright, so I'm on the right layer, white. Alright, and so for balloons, I draw from the inside, center out. Oh look, now I'm selected on the wrong layer. Lock. There, now we're on the right layer. So I'll start from the center, draw a little shape. So again, we're trying to point to his mouth. There we go. Double check that spelling of that name. Yep. Okay. So this guy's being kind of emphatic here. Like, what? What is your deal, dude? Now I want to try to wrap this text better. You always want to try to wrap your text as much like a little package as possible, so you don't get lots of orphan words or whatnot. And then now we'll do a balloon for that one. Get on the correct layer. There we go. Me? I told you to fasten your safety harness. And so we'll get another part to that. I got a bump on my noggin. That might be a better way of saying this. Smeared. Giving him the what fors. Now we might want to, I think I'm going to break this up a little bit. So we'll do it like that. And then I'm just going to grab this text, cut it, paste it in as a new one. That way we can do something like this. Alright, now we'll go to our balloon layer. So now we got kind of like a double stack balloon, which I think is kind of cool. And we can go in and just do a nice little tail coming out here at the side. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to kind of enhance some of these by, you know, this is how we do an inflection. So he's not just saying, I got a bump on my noggin. He's saying, I got a bump on my noggin. So, like the word got would be like bold, because you're putting more emphasis on that word. And then noggin and just italics to be a lesser inflection. Smeared, you'll definitely be emphasizing that one. And then we'll just italicize all over the rocks. You're like eating, you're not smeared all over the rocks. Cool, looking good. So now we're looking at some narration. I think what I want to do is I want to bring in, I might bring in the Tantalorn, which was a Photoshop piece up here at the top. So let's go to my initial narration. So that's in a different font altogether. Paste that out. Yeah, I think that'll look better with the big one up at the top. Trying to be poetic in this narration parts. So, a planet of lost souls from across the universe. A planet. Just a second. Planet of lost souls from across the universe. A planet. I got it. I think these need 3-dot pauses. No, I'll look better like that. And so this will be on my next panel. Hope amid the chaos. I don't know. Including this. All right, cool. So that's fine. He sees, looks at the bike. Yeah, I think we're good to go. All right, so from this point on, what I do is I try to capture all of these. Like, as you notice, I have these guidelines here. The guidelines are the 800 by 1200, same as what's going on here. So what I'll do is I'll lock these two. And to make sure everything is spaced appropriately, I'll do a blank rectangle and draw down to the base there. Actually, I should not be doing it on this one. Should be doing it on the text one. Because it still reads Photoshop as an object. So I'm going to edit, copy, come over here to Photoshop, and I need to switch. So I'm going over to Photoshop, and we'll do edit, paste, smart object, so it retains all the goodness there. And then now, as you can see, it's in that box, that invisible box, so that my placement doesn't get messed up. And this is new to me. I don't know what this means. Don't care for library. What? This is a cloud thing. Go away. Yeah. There. Add to my current library. Uncheck that nonsense. All right, so I want to go ahead and I'm going to open up the old the original one. And number one, number one, number one. Where did I put all that stuff? Is it in here? Number one. It's been so long I don't remember what I did with that. This is disconcerting. Alright, hold on. Let me go to Save As. See if I still have it in this original. Alright, so what do we got? There it is. Well, that's disconcerting. I might have to recreate that from scratch. Looks like it's all merged in there. One other part that I might have. Let me see. It's got to be somewhere. Alright, it wasn't there. It's not those, because I just had those open. It's not that one. It's not in episodes. Logos, logo. Oh, wait a minute. Logos. I built it on the Telexis logo. That's what I did. Yay! Found it. Okay, good. Yoink, and boom. Alright, so we are coming up to pretty much the end of the episode here. So I found that. So now I've got everything here that I need. So basically what I do is now I will go into the marquee tool, select it, and I'll go to Edit, Copy Merged, Edit Paste, And this is how I will save it out from here. Episode folder, panels. That's what I want. I want my panels folder. Panels. So, EP3. And this is number 1. As a copy, as a JPEG. And that's basically the process. So, yep, time to wrap it up. So what I'll continue to do is I'll go back into Illustrator and copy, paste, keep bringing in the fonts or the lettering, lay it in the appropriate spot on the comic, and then select it, copy merged, paste it into the formatting box, and then there we save out the JPEG. And once that process is done, I open up my dashboard on Webtoons and start to build episode 3 of the comic. All right, so no convention this weekend planned, so I hope to get a lot more work done. I am swamped. I've got a ton of stuff. I got the 10-page anthology to finish coloring, which I'm going to go right back to now. I've got a exclusive design for pro wrestling tees that I'm working on. I need to get that done. And several other things that are in the works that I need to get wrapped up on. So thanks for joining me. I appreciate it very much. And as always, spread the love of the Patreon, the Twitter, the Instagram, book, face stuff. And hopefully tomorrow we'll go off without a hitch, and I'll see you guys tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Till then, have a good day. Bye.